The first step to brewing is the water. I'm using a filter to filter out all the chlorine in the water. I'm going to collect 3 1/4 gallons of water for this batch. Next, I heat the water. I'm going to heat it to 160 degrees Fahrenheit, and I'm doing that with an electric heater element and a propane burner. Steph is measuring out the specialty grains now. These are going to be used to add flavor and aroma to our beer. There are dozens of specialty grains. These are just a few. Measuring out the base malt, this provides most of the fermentable sugars. Next we mill the grains. This separates the inside from the husk. Now we mill. Milling's done. This is what it looks like afterwards. Measuring out some brewing salt. Now we add brewing salt to the water. This will change the chemistry of the water. Now we're going to mash in. After 5 minutes, we'll check the pH and the temperature and correct it if we need to. We're adding hot water to stop the starch conversions. We'll let this go for 10 minutes. Next we'll run off a few gallons of the wort and then pour it back in the top. This will get out all the grainy husks and everything, and this is called the recirculation or the vorlauf. And then we'll get nice clear running wort. When the pitcher fills up, I'll just pour it in the top and be careful not to do any splashing, because that's a hot side aeration and that'll hurt the beer later on. And I'll just do this a few times. Once the vorlauf is complete, we'll start running the wort from the mash tun down into the kettle very slowly for about an hour. As the water runs off, we'll add more water to the top of the bed, trying not to splash. And we want to keep the grain bed as close to 170 as possible without going over. That's what the grain bed looks like. And we'll collect about 7 gallons and then boil off. Now that we've collected almost 7 gallons, we're going to bring this to a boil, and then we'll let it boil for an hour and a half. When it first starts to boil, all the proteins will coagulate and foam up over top, so you have to spray the top and lower the heat in order for it to stop the foam over. But once it stops, it's called a hot break, but now that it's stopped, it won't do that again. And we're going to boil this for an hour and a half. For the first half hour, that's just to get rid of some extra water so that we can concentrate down the wort. And then at 1 hour left to the boil, we'll add in our first hops. And adding in the hops with 60 minutes left to the boil. These will be used for bittering. The last part of brew day is cooling. So I have the kettle here, and it runs through this pump. I can control the speed here And it goes to this heat exchanger. There's cold water coming in here and hot water coming out here. The boiling wort is coming through here, going through the plates in this, and out this side, then down into the fermenter. And by the time it reaches the fermenter, it goes from boiling to 65 degrees or so. And this will take about 2 or 3 minutes. Now that all the wort is cooled, we have to add oxygen to the wort for the yeast. We'll do this for about a minute. The next step is to add the yeast. This has been growing up for a few days in pretty much beer. Call it a starter. And there's the last ingredient in beer. Put an airlock on it. We'll put it down in the fridge at 68 degrees, and after about a week we'll put it into another carboy. Then another couple of weeks and it'll be ready to drink.